Yeah, we good? Okay. Yes, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:32. We stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, roll call. We'll start with Karen.
Aaron Delfino, Stacy Randolph, Molly Smith, Nicole Liberty McCrath, Debbie Sherman,
Mike Husa.
Vinnie Cannadella.
and Conduct.
Robert Carr.
And for Board of Finance, or our guests tonight, if you can just announce your name.
Jack Carly, Paula Jensen,
Brett Olbreeze.
Nikki Dykstra, Linda McKay.
Okay, fantastic. So for Board of Ed budget, I don't know if you want to start, or I'd like to start with just a few words. One, I want to say thank you to the Board of Finance for taking the time to come tonight. I think it's very important for you to hear, as the board hears from all the different stakeholders as they present their budget drivers, and they share their information with us, that you get to hear it firsthand. And I want to thank Dr. Marino, Dr. Darren Mullen, and Noah Langer for putting together a great budget book. They've worked really hard working with the finance subcommittee and with all the different stakeholders. They put together a great and hopefully comprehensive budget for everyone to see. And at this time, Dr. Marino.
Well, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for being here, Board of Education, Board of Finance. Our administrative team is behind us here, and we're very excited to present. We met today to do one more final review of what we're proposing in regards to the 26-27 budget. And I echo exactly what Mr. Pusa said in regards to the efforts of the team being led by Noah. It's both our first time going through as well as Darren putting this budget proposal. So we're excited to share it with you. And it's a great opportunity to hear from the building level ideas, things that we're looking to do, and the why behind it. So you have a comprehensive budget booklet in front of you. I'm not going to go a lot more into it because I really want to get everyone in front of you, because it's going to take a while for each person to do their part. But again, thank you for your time, for being here, because I know it's going to be a long night, but it's really important. The work that we do is crucial to our community. And, we have 1,600 students and their families depending on us. So we're very excited to be here this evening. And again, thank you for your time. We'll start.
Sure. And so we're gonna really let the PowerPoint presentation drive us tonight. Jim, do you have
It doesn't on my here, so.
Okay, so our first few slides are really just informational, kind of how we got to this point in our process. So obviously we did something that was somewhat new to Oxford. This year, we did an executive summary presentation in December for the holiday break, just to kind of give everyone a taste of where we were starting from. And then, today is our first budget workshop. We're hoping, the board will give us guidance, finance committee or workshop, as we go through the process. Our deadline to get it to the Board of Finance is March 4th. And then we have a few other dates in there, January 15th. So next week, we'll be submitting our capital budget request to the Board of Finance. And then the big date is the town referendum in the middle of May, scheduled for May 14th. Next slide. So this is kind of echoes what we presented in December. These are our budget priorities. Our focus was to strengthen our special education, give increased support to our youngest learners, specifically those 5th grade and younger. Look to improve the communication, strive to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of our employee retention and relations, and to hopefully reduce the length of bus rides and make sure that we stay in compliance with the board regulations when it comes to early pickups. This is our agenda for the evening. I apologize, I forgot to print it out and put it into the budget book for tonight. But we're gonna be moving pretty hard and fast. We do have stakeholders from all of our schools and our department heads here to present. So we're really looking forward to spending tonight with you. I will draw attention to page 4 in your budget book, just as for where we are currently with our proposed budget. We're looking at a $38,593,226 budget request, which is approximately a 6.41% increase over last year. Dr. Marino, Dr. Mullen and I, along with the staff, did go through over the holidays. We cleaned some things up, found a few areas that we felt we could tighten up a little bit, and make sure that our numbers were good and solid. So with that, I'll invite Karen. So today we're going, both Quaker Farms and Great Oak are going to be presented by Karen. She is the assistant principal at both schools.
No, just said, is it come on?
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who I don't know, Karen Dreger, I am the elementary assistant principal shared between Quaker Farms and Great Oak. I'm here presenting for both schools because both Rachel and Amy are out with some medical issues right now. So I am on behalf of them presenting for both of our schools. So bear with me as I'm trying to merge both and give you an overview of all of them. And really tonight, my goal is to share just how we're continuing to provide high quality education for all those students K through 5 while making thoughtful and responsible decisions. So our thought process for both Quaker Farms and Great Oak are tightly aligned, and that's why it will go nicely together tonight. And they're guided by 3 priorities that are referenced in the slides that I'm going to go to soon. And they are sustaining essential resources, enhancing existing initiatives, and supporting staff morale. This is all with the goal of maintaining productive and effective learning environment for all of our students. So let me begin specifics with Quaker Elementary.
Can I make a suggestion here?
Sure,
Is there any way you can just knock that roll of lights off so that's really short?
they go this way,
Never
not
sideways?
but let's try a couple different configurations. Does that help?
No. Okay, just to get clear on that,
Is that a little better?
No, it's-
Yeah.
Okay.
It's page 12, yeah, there you go.
Better?
Now we can.
Yeah, stay away.
Dark.
Camera's on, so I need some. Oh, you need some light.
Try one.
Yeah, just keep them on.
No, wait.
Well, maybe I'll take.
Forget it.
The light dance begins. Roll with this. Okay. So I'll begin with the specifics for Quaker Farms. First, we're prioritizing the continuation of our current programs, staffing, and instructional materials, enhancing and refining what's already working well for our students. Connected to this is our goal of maintaining low class sizes, where individualized instruction is critical to our youngest learners. To do this responsibly, we are recommending a shift of a 2nd grade teaching position to 3rd grade at GOES. The shift will allow Great Oak to successfully staff for this grouping of 7 sections, as we do not project the need for that based on our rising 1st grade numbers. Our second priority is to strengthen the programs that we have in place. We're investing time, professional learning, and resources into improving the effectiveness of our current curriculum and instructional practices. We're going to continue working in literacy, but putting a laser focus on math instruction in the coming years. This includes the continued implementation of our HMH literacy program, illustrative math, integrity for phonemic awareness, and our ongoing alignment with the science of reading. Another important component to Quaker is our commitment to play-based learning. This includes ensuring that our classrooms have appropriate materials that support hands-on learning so that teachers can effectively integrate play-based strategies with their academic goals. The request of a K-5 STEM coach will enhance our ability to provide this type of rigorous instruction in the areas of math and science, developing key inquiry skills and problem-solving skills. We did discover an imbalance in our assessment results in literacy and math, and the utilization of a STEM coach would provide instructional support to our educators and truly allow us to have a well-rounded approach to early intervention. Another important addition is our 3 kindergarten para-educators. The needs of our youngest learners are evolving, and they come to us with more needs than ever before. The addition of these pairs will allow us to provide those early interventions in a more personalized way. Each kindergarten teacher would have a para assigned to their classroom, rather than the current split where only half of them have access on any given day. It will allow for more small group instruction opportunities, allow for more play-based approaches, as the K teachers will all have adequate and equitable support. The final priority is that we would like to continue to build on staff morale by making sure that our teachers have the instructional materials and resources they need, reliable equipment and tools, and meaningful professional learning. So transitioning, maybe. Great. Thank you. Transitioning to Great Oak, you'll see that the utilization of the STEM coach will carry over so that our upper elementary students get the tailored support and enrichment, which is a direct connection to the Great Oak focus on high quality instruction. Our 4th and 5th grade students are departmentalized. So the STEM coach would be a valuable resource to our staff who teach math only, not ELA, which in turn will help the transition to the middle school, where all classrooms function under a departmentalized fashion. Therefore, it would make a smooth and consistent K-8 instructional model. When educators feel well-equipped and supported, they're more confident, they're better able to collaborate and innovate, and meet the diverse needs of their students. The Great Oak approach is thoughtful and intentional in sustaining our current resources and maintaining low class sizes through strategic staffing decisions. We're enhancing the programs that we already have rather than adding new ones and investing in our staff. At GOES, we want to leverage our high staff morale that exists by ensuring that our staff have the materials to deliver cutting-edge, rigorous instruction that develops thinkers and doers. Taking on 7 sections of grade 2 from Quaker will require the movement of a teacher that we feel is necessary to maintain equity and low class size. In past practice, this larger cohort has had a teacher following them, and it's not the first request for that type of movement. All of these decisions reflect a careful balance between educational excellence and financial responsibility. And I'm going to end with just a quote that came to me. That's every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way. And on behalf of Amy Missett, Rachel Kakase, and myself, we want to thank you for your continued support and commitment to the Quaker Farms and the GOES students, and allowing us to find those both best, most effective ways to reach all of those students in all of those different ways that they need. So we thank you so much.
Okay, any questions for Quaker Farms and Rachel?
Sure. I'm just looking at the back of the book, page 57, which is the students per teacher. So you're saying you've got, so are those current positions or are those the proposed positions? So page 57. For the 2nd grade, you've got 7.
Correct.
So that's the proposed, or is that 7-person going to third?
That the second 7 are going to 3rd grade next year.
Okay, so second would go down to 6
Correct.
teachers. And then third goes up to 7
7.
teachers. But those 6 classes in grade 3, 122 students are going to 7 teachers in grade 4.
And one of those grade 4 teachers will have to follow the 7 sections.
So that's what I'm asking. So grade 4 is gonna move, one grade 4 will move to grade 5. Okay, so I didn't see that noted in the presentation unless I missed that.
But the reason it's noted in the presentation is because we're moving one class from one school to another. So
So
when it,
within buildings, there's not that need, but when we're talking about moving a teacher from one building to a physical another building, that has to be noted.
Okay, so grade 4 will go down to 6 teachers and grade 5 will go up to
Go
7.
up, yes,
Okay,
but we'll still have that need from that second
Yeah.
at Quaker to that
Yeah.
transition to Grado.
okay.
Basically 2 bubbles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 bubble birds, yeah.
any other questions for Karen?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
And then next we have presenting for Oxford Middle School.
I'm ready. Nice to see all of you. Is this clicker functioning? Oh my God, okay, good. I only have the one slide, so good evening. I'm happy to talk to you about our budget proposal for OMS, which has students at its core. Every item that we've included serves out the best interest of our students, providing them with the resources they need to thrive academically and socially over at the middle school. And our primary focus remains on meeting the diverse needs of our students through personalized instruction, intervention, and enrichment. We will continue to collaborate with central office, including support services and Office of Curriculum Instruction, and the department leaders up at the high school to ensure our goals are aligned with district-wide expectations. So we have 3 buckets as well: instruction and literacy, future readiness, and school climate. Over 50% of our budget can be found living in instruction and literacy, going directly back to our students, which is dedicated to instructional supplies, ensuring that our students have access to active learning experiences and high quality instruction. We will continue to work in regards to horizontal and vertical alignment of our core curriculum, grades 6 through 8, which we've done this year alongside Eric and high school, to ensure students are prepared as they transition from elementary to move forward towards high school. And ultimately, these funds are going to support our goal of elevating our instructional quality we've been working on this year through professional learning to improve student performance on a variety of metrics like SBAC, NGSS, IXL, and classroom assessments as well. We also look at our future readiness, which will continue to align with district goals and our attributes of a graduate, and work in alignment with district facilities to make sure our building is in tip-top shape to meet the needs of our students. We are blessed with a new building, but we do have challenges in regards to space, and so we'll work with Mike and his team as well. And then school climate is big for us over at the middle school. We really invest in the relationships that we develop with our students. This year, we've had the opportunity to work on our school climate improvement plan and our school climate committee, which has students, teachers, and parents on it. And we will continue to do that and make sure that everyone has an environment where they feel safe, respected, and supported. And then the remainders of our budget are really just the gears that help the wheels turn, from postage to office supplies to staples for the copier, and little things like that that we would miss. So, any questions? Thank you.
Next, we have our high school presented by
Hey, everybody. So the meeting's gonna bring up. So on behalf of, the high school administrative team, and we talked to you a little bit tonight about our main budget drivers for the fiscal year 26-27. I do have a little motto there at the top of the screen. Wolverine way, sustaining what works, strengthening what's next. I think we've made some pretty incredible strides in the last, several years, but we know we still have some work cut out. I think what you'll notice in tonight's presentation is the commitment that we've heard the board mention about, proposed dual course offerings, as well as more career and technical pathways, which is a large driver. Eric will also be speaking to these. And then we just have basic kind of building needs as far as replacing textbooks for current course offerings, as well as our, instructional supply accounts. So Oxford High School's budget for the upcoming school year reflects what I consider a modest 0.6% increase, made possible through careful staffing adjustments and the strategic realignment of positions that began last year and will benefit us moving forward. This approach allowed us to both build and maintain strong programming while minimizing overall cost growth. So the primary drivers for us are all instructional in nature and will directly impact the opportunities afforded to our student body. So we're proposing several new courses, all on the far left-hand corner of the screen, including AP Environmental Science, AP Pre-Calculus, Catering and ServSafe, an EMTB class, and Post-Financial Literacy. So the bulk of those classes will offer college credit, should students choose to apply. And we're most excited and looking forward to our ability to partner with Oxford EMS for an EMTB course. This course would be offered to juniors and seniors. It carries with it a little bit of a substantial cost at the outlay, which is about $40,000. But our kids who pass and take the test would essentially be credentialed as EMTBs and ready to go into a field which could be EMT specific or more medically based. So Eric is going to speak in greater detail about the asks for that course, but I will say that while the initial course really kind of falls on our curriculum and instruction budget, that would then be passed along to the high school after its initial year. So just food for thought as far as planning goes. All of these courses really expand academic rigor, career readiness, and our alignment with state graduation requirements. The budget also places a strong emphasis on expanding career pathways and credit and certification bearing opportunities, directly responding to previous requests made by the board, and reflects our shared belief that providing students with access to college credit, industry certifications, and authentic career preparation is both valuable and necessary, which is also why we're leaning into our revised capstone experience, and this will further build upon that. Lastly, to further support our current programming, we have several courses requiring placement textbooks in the amount of about $16,000. That includes AP Calculus, AP Chemistry, AP Government, and AP Statistics. And many of our specialized programs, such as construction, engineering, fine arts, and food services, are really accompanied by high-cost consumables, which are necessitated by the program and further address CT graduation requirements. For example, our applied tech course, some of their asks for the year, $16,000 just for the regular needs of what it takes to manage our 3D printers in our construction room. Our food budget is about $11,000. So without those supplies, we're really unable to offer those courses. And again, we're leaning into opportunities that are going to prepare our students not only for the walls of Oxford High School, but for the spaces they pursue beyond. On the whole, we think our budget represents a disciplined investment in student opportunity, one that sustains what's currently working at Oxford High School while strengthening pathways for college, career, and civic readiness. Any questions?
Could you just talk a little bit about the decrease in the teachers line item?
Sure.
Shows position shift and new hires and
course.
going down, so you're hiring newer teachers.
So yes, and a little bit of both things. So what we had is we had a retirement last year in our science department. I did not fill that position. So we reduced our current teacher load by 1. And then we had 2 retirements. So we had a retirement as a resignation in our English departments. Those teachers were both at top step. The 2 new that we hired are at a much lower salary scale.
And talk a little bit about the leadership stipends, specifically what are they for?
So those leadership stipends fall between our clubs and activities. So the after-school clubs that are run to support both programming as well as extracurricular opportunities. They are separate from our athletics budget. So we're talking about things specific to fine arts. They might be our spring musical advisor, our Project Lead the Way team, our robotics club. And those stipends carry with them lane adjustments based on experience, as well as the incremental step increases.
So they're new stipends or?
Some were new and they were negotiated with last year's leadership team. And then there are some that just we kind of lapsed and replaced with additional. Yes.
Heather, are the leadership stipends different than the job coach, I mean, the
Department chairs. Yes.
I'm just curious about the relevance of an AP pre-calculus course. Like, I mean. I get AP Calc and I get AP, all those other, but AP pre-calc just doesn't. I don't quite understand.
I mean, I think it affords our kids another opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, for credits, it puts them for pathways. We have kids that come in sometimes at a more advanced level. They could perhaps take the AP pre-calc sooner and expand their math offerings by the time they graduate. I think it just sort of further incentivizes and gives our math program an added benefit and an added course. We don't yet know the level of popularity. We've had kids express an interest. We've had our math department do some simple surveys on whether or not it would be an appealing course to take. But until we are able to offer it and really see what student interest is, we won't know if it runs. It's also obviously board and budget dependent.
So will the pre-calc teachers be teaching that, or are we hiring a new teacher?
No, our current math department will manage all of the current new math offerings.
Excellent. So with that course as well, that push came from the math department, the teachers as well. When looking at the curriculum for the AP course, it was very similar to what we're running as a regular or honors pre-calc course. And actually the same textbook is used for that course as one of the recommended books for the AP class. So with the push to try to add more dual enrollment type classes, that's one of the asks that is going through the current proposal. So those courses have not, all those courses, none of them have finished the official board approved process. That's, I know in the upcoming meetings this month. But that's just to add on to some of the reasoning, looking at that.
And what thought process goes in behind the new course offerings such as forest forensics, EMT? Like what research goes into this would be good for Oxford?
So we have a pretty robust field biology program right now that one of our science teachers has really grown from the ground up. And I will say, based on the fact that we have kids every year that we turn away and kids who are looking for that next opportunity, this really positions them well to take advantage of that level of expertise. I will say we also benefit from being next door to Rock House Hill Sanctuary, where a lot of this work takes place. And so I think it does a nice job of blending and further blending the partnership we have with the community as well as in-house expertise.
And the post-financial literacy, is that personal finance?
Separate from, so we do also offer personal finance. This course is more advanced, it's at the college level. It would be if the students decided to pay, it's $150 fee towards the university, but it is a college bearing credit, whereas financial literacy is just high school credit.
And that course will be billed more towards students who are looking to get into
A
business or finance or.
Is personal finance a required course?
Yes.
Good.
And we're actually partnering with Junior Achievement, and even that course, depending on the student's age when they take it, you can even, there's even an option for college credit for that course as
Through
well.
Central.
Because we partnered with, or partnering with Junior Achievement.
So with the post-financial literacy going towards, college credits, is that just local colleges or are those?
Post is through post.
Oh, just, like,
Yeah.
okay, post
With
is
dual
university.
enrollment for those courses though that are linked to a university, in most cases, they're Yeah, gonna
you're
be in trouble.
Yeah.
If they're lower enough level, which a lot of these will be 100, 200 levels, any school, I think that's.
As Ms. O'Brien said, every course we're looking to offer either comes with a dual enrollment opportunity for students or some type of certification tied to the field in which the course is in. So the state has been pushing, you know, even outside the Perkins Grant career pathways, all being the size of a high school we're not going to be able to offer courses in every single pathway. So we're looking at what are the pathways we have now and how can we use the staff that we have to strengthen those? And that's a large reason why a lot of these courses are being offered. Probably the only one that's not tied to a specific pathway that we don't have multiple courses is that EMT course. We don't have multiple, like an allied health course or anything like that, but, in talking with Oxford Ambulance, earlier this year, the interest was there. The community partnership, I think is important, as well as the, as Ms. O'Brien said, just being able to leave high school with that certification, not just the medical field. Most paid firefighting programs, require, EMT certification. Ms. O'Brien and I, Mr. Viger, were at a meeting earlier this year in which, the emergency services pathways is going to be a huge push from the state due to the extremely low, enrollment of people getting into the fire service. So, I think, like I said, the interest is there. So Brian said, we're looking at about $40,000 to get off the ground. In annual cost, you're probably looking around $25,000. A lot of that is, it's about $1,400 per student, to take a course, and we're looking to have about 15 students, in class, no more than that. And then the rest being supplies.
So I'd just like to talk a little bit about pathways. Since I've been on the board over the last few years, we've encountered a lot of kids that are deciding to not attend college and trying to go straight into a job out of high school. I can speak from personal experience. This is what my son did. We're not a CTS school. We're not a tech school. But if we can provide opportunities for our own kids here to stay in-house in Oxford through these types of programs, I think that's very important that we try and do so. We're not, we can't do a nursing program like when my daughter goes to Emmett. We can't do that here, but what we can do is we can try and find a niche where we can keep some kids in district and provide them with opportunities that they wouldn't have had 2 or so years ago.
And our goal is really to strike, to Bobby's point, strike the balance, and we still have 80% of our population who are either 2 or 4 year college bound, but that leaves 20% who are not. So in what way are we serving both populations?
It's an area where, in my personal opinion, the district has lacked those types of opportunities for kids. And it's gotten much better in the 2 years that I've been here. Than at all.
So the personal finance, what does that course involve?
Some numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a preliminary, very intro to businessy type course with familiarizing kids with basic mathematical business sense that would benefit them in reality. So they might look at how to best balance a checkbook, what it means to institute a savings account, how to go about like those initial steps. So everybody has to take that course because I think the state and we as educators have recognized that that's a real lack.
Well, I think so, because
Yes.
you gotta learn how, at least get some finances going. I just finished 4 days of the big beautiful bill, which let's keep everybody's comments to themselves, but I'll tell you, there's a lot in there, and they have what they call the Trump savings account, which for new babies, they're gonna put $1,000 into an account for the kids. But there's the opportunity for students and their parents, if they're under 18, to get into that club. And it's, there's no tax on the interest goes up to 18. It works like that. It works like not like a Roth, but like a regular 401k. But a lot of this is training for people that, even if you don't want to go past high school, at least have an idea of how you can have money work for you instead of you always working for money. Okay, and I think that's key. And it's got to be taught at this level, right? Otherwise, people move on and they don't read, the financial page, I'm sure nobody carries that into school during the day. But it becomes very important. Like I say, if you want money to work for you, you invest it. If you want to just work for money, be my guest. It's either way. And back to the EMTs, the ambulance, I tell you, I'm very familiar with a lot of these, the hospitals, I'm on the corporations, the American Hospital. I can tell you that that's where the jobs are right now. That's where all the jobs are. In the hospitals, you see all the assistants, registered nurses or whatever they call it, there. Those are a lot of jobs that are good paying jobs, and you get good benefits, but that's where all the hiring is. It's not in. They don't hire accountants anymore. They don't hire a lot of people anymore. AI is gonna change the world, I guess. I don't know. But these things gotta be pushed out. The other thing is, I just wonder is, how does this stand up compared to last year? I mean, the last 2 years. Do we have more students? We get higher academic scores, we get better reading scores, better math scores. How do we stand out, college enrollments? How do we get, compared to what we've been doing, and how do you see it in the future?
I mean, I think right now we've been kind of maintaining. I think our ELA scores are stronger than our math scores, so we have work to do in that area. And I think to your point, there's just, we're competing, with a lot of different priorities. I think we're competing with kids and their interests in general. So I think our goal tonight and looking ahead is like, what are gonna be the courses that are gonna be most meaningful to them, that are gonna position them well to find a place to be successful beyond school? And I don't preach that that should be 2 or 4 year college. I think kids should find their path and do what they love to do. And so if we can get them situated to make their way, whatever it is, give them the credentials where when they leave Oxford High School, if they already had 9 college credits under their belt, that may incentivize them to try that next level and do a 2-year and earn some sort of a degree. Or perhaps they do a certification program and they fall in love with becoming an EMT, or they're gonna open a restaurant and they'll have some fundamentals specific to culinary and food service. Like, our goal is to grow that and to reach all populations, which I think we've struggled to do in the past, but we are working our way toward us.
Financials help if you open your own business. Okay, you gotta have an idea of what's going on, because I think there's a large percentage of people, new businesses that fail. The rate is tremendous, because people don't know where they are or where they're going with the finances. But all that helps. It helps, at least, if you're not college bound, or if you're not, other ways, at least be making to know what's going on in the world and how to cope with it.
I agree.
We're not like, I just read where Hopkins Grammar, New Haven, somebody just donated 50 million to them. So I don't think we've got, I don't have to worry about that right now. But that's where you're competing against, those type of.
2 questions. If we wanted to see the curriculum for the personal finance course, could we see that? Okay. Then secondly, as far as government is concerned, Board of Ed, Board of Finance, we're elected officials. I do a lot of stuff in town as moderating meetings, et cetera. And when it comes to elections, the thing that we struggle with a lot is getting volunteers. And I got involved later in life, but if I'd known how much I actually enjoy, giving my time and serving, I would have gotten involved earlier. So I've always talked to the registrars about what can we do to get the high school, maybe AP government classes to do something with the town to earn some credits towards graduation, or just some type of feeder program, maybe to get their interest involved.
That would be great.
So I don't know, I mean, is there that conversation
Yeah,
going?
we can certainly have the conversation with our AP government teacher and see kind of what the kids' interests are, in branching outside of the classroom itself, but I think that would be a great way to capitalize on the current work that they're studying.
Also, that EMT course could be vital to the town of Oxford. I mean, you've talked a lot about how the fire service in town may have to go to a paid fire service. If we're not getting kids that are gonna volunteer as firefighters, because the EMT is gonna lead you right to firefighter.
Well, I'll plant the seed for you, because I'd like to think about Fire One after we work on this.
Yeah. It would be advantageous to the entire town if we're doing something like this.
Yeah, the pool's running short, swear. We have volunteer firemen and volunteer the ambulance. It's tough to get those volunteers. And eventually, if we don't bring people in, we're gonna have to pay, we have to regionalize, we're gonna have to do something.
Mhm.
So it is a problem, and the training, you could spark the enthusiasm right down here at this level, it would really help.
Any other questions before we move on to athletics?
Thank you so much.
We're gonna have AJ present on our athletics methods. This is going the high school.
How are you, everyone? If I've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that it was always a very difficult path to follow. Thank you very much for that. My name is AJ Houston. I am the athletic director as well as the dean of students for both Oxford High School and Oxford Middle School. What we strive to do through our athletic program is we strive to have our athletes leave Oxford High School as contributing members of society, whether it is going into a trade, whether it's going to college, whether it's going directly into a job, whatever path they may choose to take. We want them to use athletics to help prepare them for the road ahead. Our motto is grit. Grit stands for gratitude, respect, integrity, and teamwork. That's been a big push of ours this year. If you come down to the high school, you'll see it on the walls in the gym, you'll see it on the walls in the hallways. Some of the students have bracelets that represent that. And it's reiterated very often amongst the coaches and among as well as myself at the preseason meetings and postseason meetings that we have. So our athletic participation, I'm very, very pleased with the numbers that we have shown and the increase we've shown from last year to this year. On the left-hand side, the navy blue column is the percentage of student athletes, or the percentage of students who participated in at least one extracurricular activity last year. And it was at 48.3%, and this year is at 50.9%. This is not counting our unified sports program because that is part of our curriculum. So if you include the unified sports program for the high school and middle school, 535 student athletes are currently registered through our final form system. But since our unified sports is a part of our curriculum, I took those numbers out of here. So this is a true representation of the amount of students that we have actively participating in an after-school sport. And at the middle school, we went from 48.2% last year to 49.6%. And I also am very pleased to report that even though the high school enrollment went down by a pretty significant number this year, our number of student athletes who are participating actually still went up. So that's a testament to, what we're doing as a district and what the athletic program is doing for these kids. I think it's truly great. Go ahead. So the main drivers that we have, obviously there's, with inflation comes increase in transportation as well as officials. We did receive official word that it's a 3% increase for all officials across the board in every sport next year. Event workers and site director expenses stay the same. We do have to pay people to work every single event. We did add indoor track this year. We brought it back because we had an outstanding number of student athletes who were interested in participating. So we did not have transportation built into the budget for that this year, so we built that in for next year. And then for our uniforms, it's typical for a high school, and at Oxford, it has been the case where every sport replaces a set of uniform every 4 years. So that way every student is able to wear a new uniform during their high school career. At the middle school, that hasn't really been the case, but Oxford Middle School has some uniforms that are currently out of compliance with CIAC policy. And they also haven't been replaced since the new middle school opened. And obviously, the more athletes we get, the more need we get. I'd be happy if we were able to do 100% participation, in after school activities, but that's not realistic. But as we do get more athletes, there obviously becomes more of a need for equipment, for uniforms, and all the stuff of that nature. So that's my piece. Anyone have any questions for me?
I had a question for last year. I know transportation, especially at the middle school, was an issue. Have we had success with the investments we
So
made?
2 years ago, there was the big issue. And yes, last year, transportation, there was not a single issue with the middle school. We did use. So last year for transportation, we strictly used Sorensen. They were awesome. This year, we have used Sorensen as well as All-Star. All-Star was working with Dr. Marino as well as Michael D'Agostino in getting more drivers so they could service our athletics. So we are working with both Sorensen and All-Star now, and it's been awesome. There's not been any issues with transportation.
Excellent.
I might be wrong, but I haven't been to a high school sport in a while. My daughter's graduated, but the fees that are collected. I thought in the past, the fees went towards some of the purchase of uniforms like the quarterback.
There used to be a pay to play.
Okay,
We stopped that, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago.
okay.
So that is, we no longer have the students pay to participate in athletics.
But the fees that are collected at the gates for.
Those go
football
into the activities fund that get reapplied to the fields, to the facilities for maintenance or related expenses.
Okay.
The gate fees are a relatively low amount.
So it looks like you want to upgrade some of the athletic uniforms for soccer, football and basketball.
Soccer, football, basketball, those are the ones that are in need of a new uniform because they have not gotten any within the past 5 years.
Okay.
They were due for it last year, but when I took over, there was an issue with the middle school budget where it wasn't appropriately budgeted for certain things, so I wasn't able to get any uniforms last year.
If you could take a look at indoor track as well, because right now we have boys wearing girls' uniforms because
Well,
there's not enough to go around.
the
And that's
issue with-
only the tank tops and they don't even have shorts, so we
Okay.
have to provide their own. So that might be something we want to consider as well.
So the issue with that was we had zero budget for indoor track at all this year. Indoor track should be using the outdoor track uniforms. That was communicated to, with the coaching staff. So they should be using the outdoor track uniforms. And outdoor track, we had 60 student athletes participate in outdoor track last year, so I will double check on that, but yes, thank you.
What about the
Let's
student activity fund? You still have a large number in that, the student activity fund?
I'm
At one time it was 150,000, was it?
There is a large amount, yes, but as the board said, they haven't collected fees for most of that money is earmarked for other things that's not related to athletics. The gate fees go to the central activities fund, because then that goes back towards, as was mentioned, maintenance of the fields. And it, to try to cover some of these general fund, expenses when we can. But it's a relatively low amount. I think the balance right now for the athletics gate is about $5,700 as of about a week ago.
That's just for the gate.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, for instance, that money was saved for quite a few years, and a big chart piece of that went towards the building of the bathroom, the Wolverine bathrooms at the fields. It was about a year ago? Yeah, it's over that.
Any other questions for athletics?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Linda Cancelo, presenting pupil services.
Hello, everyone. Right, I'm representing special ed. And we'll go to the next slide, Jen. As you can see, the special education drivers are a continuum of services, collaboration and communication and consistency across the district. We believe all students have the right to public education. And by creating comprehensive learning programs in all our schools, we can educate all our students in the least restrictive environments and meet their needs throughout their entire educational experience. At the same time, in-district programming is a financially responsible approach. It reduces the cost of out-of-district placements and transportation costs and allows our own staff to plan meaningful instruction that prepares the students to what comes next, whether that's college, employment, or participating independently in the community. Overall, this approach reflects a student-centered commitment while also demonstrating responsible use of the district's resources. Communication is also important to us in special education with parents and staff. We have already held 2 parent meetings. Our first workshop focused on a quick start guide for financial planning for families of students with special needs. And our second workshop focused on DES and DSS services to provide families with information to help them better understand supports available to them beyond the school settings. Maria, who is our special ed supervisor, and I also meet with our staff in each building weekly. We meet with them to make sure they are shared consistently across all schools information and hear the same expectations and are updated on district-wide information. We maintain running agendas in a Google Drive that is shared district-wide, so our staff can go back and refer to those. So they have follow through, and that promotes consistency in our practices. Next slide, Jen. So we currently have 3 comprehensive learning programs in our districts. We originally started with our first comprehensive learning program at Quaker Farms in 2021. This program is designed for students who require a level of instruction and support in the areas of communication, daily living, behavior, and cognitive skill development. This instruction goes beyond the typical special education classroom supports. It integrates supports such as self-care, emotional regulation, augmentative communication, ABA, and DTI instruction. There was an increasing need for this kind of instruction, so 2 years later, we opened a class at the middle school. We had to place students that were in the 3rd to 5th grade level, either at Quaker and the middle school, because we did not have a program at GOES at this time. However, there was a need for that program, so this year we did open the program at GOES. And as you can see, we have 5 students in each program at this time. We want to ensure that students were aligned with their grade and age level. 5 students is really the ideal number for this program. At no time would we ever want these specialized programs to exceed 7 students. 5 is really our ideal amount for these students. Establishing a program at the high school will allow us to create a true continuum of services to keep our students in district. This would provide the students the ability to remain part of our school community and remain in the least restrictive environments. It would also give them access to the high school, and depending on their abilities and needs, we can integrate them in maybe baking class, chorus, art, and our unified sports program. Currently, we have 1 student who is of high school age, but is at our middle school program because we don't have a program at the high school. For next year, we are anticipating 3 of our preschool students who will be entering kindergarten that will be in our Quaker Farms program. So as you can see, there is a need. We also have another student who will be of high school age. So next year, we have 2 high school students that are going to need this specialized program. If we don't have a program for these students, we're going to have to look for outplacements to meet their needs. When you're looking at outplacements for these students, we're talking about for each student, 150 to up to 300,000 per student. If you have to look at the cost of outplacement tuition, plus the cost of if they need OT, PT, speech services, as well as transportation. Transportation can run up to $100,000 per student based on where you have to bus the students. So it is an extreme cost. Again, we're also taking the students out of their community and taking them away from their peers. And again, their least restrictive environment. And we've had these amazing programs and have these children in these programs in their community. So why would we take them out now? And the continuum of services, we have an amazing Monroe Oxford transition program. So those are for our children that require transition services that are 18 to 22. So after that high school experience, they seamlessly can transition to our Monroe Oxford Community Program. So again, I just have in this slide, just to give you what the program focuses on, that academic, social, communication, behavioral skills aligned to each student's IEP. Instruction and supports are designed to help students successfully participate in a variety of activities throughout the school day. The school day for these students is highly structured and predictable, with a strong emphasis on building communication skills, increasing independence, and promoting meaningful community integration. Again, we continue our continuum of services for our students by providing these specifically designed programs to keep them in district their entire educational career, and then seamlessly transition them to the 18 to 22 Monroe Oxford Community Program for their transition services. So it's a great way to keep them in our community. It's financially responsible, but also the right thing to do for our kids. Any questions?
Any questions? Approximately how many students are currently outplaced, you know?
We have 7 kids outplaced currently.
And how does the 7, if you look back 5 years, maybe, what is the trend in that number? Is it about the same or?
Actually, this is the lowest number outplaced we've had this year. We have a max of students, the maximum number, the highest we've had outplaced was 22 students.
Do students get to determine whether or parents get to determine whether the student is outplaced or do we dictate that the student must be taken care of in district?
So it's a PPT decision, but if we can provide an appropriate program for the students, we keep them in district.
I think it's important to understand that by keeping them in the district, we save money. A lot of money. As opposed to creating the OHS SCLP. That's gonna cost us less money than if we had to outplace those kids. So it's a bang for your buck.
Does the state reimburse anymore for students, when you in-house them?
Well, it would be
Yeah, it's excess cost. That's for students who are outplaced.
I'm sorry?
The excess cost grant is for students who are outplaced. So that's where we get that percentage back from the state.
Is there anything in the future to bring those 7 students back into in-house and do?
So actually, last year we brought 2 students back, so we continue to try to get, if we have the programming to bring them back. That's our goal, is to bring them back to district. So having these programs, again, these programs just started in 2021, having these programs to offer to bring them back, that's what we're trying to do. And the state is really trying to get students to be back into their district. They're even providing, we have the seed grant, which we're getting about $28,000, Noah, and promoting to start new programs. So if we have this money to start up programs for supplies to get programs up and running, if we can get things in the era to get supplies for these programs. So that's why we're asking for that teacher and that para.
And the big push of that is because the state struggles to meet their requirement for reimbursement. The requirement for Oxford, I believe, is either 80 or 85%. And last year, I think we hit 73%. It's tiered based off of your demographics and whatnot. But that's why you may have seen a few things in the last couple of years of the state allocating more money towards special ed, because the standard funding that goes towards the excess cost grant that reimburses the districts has actually been underfunded. And the state's been trying to fill that gap, which is why they've been promoting more. If you can keep these students in-house, we won't have to try to find that money, that gap, if they're staying here.
And keeping them in-house is giving them the opportunities to still be with their typical peers. We're able to get them into classes with their regular ed peers. We even have a PD that we have adaptive PE coming in. And we're training our PE teachers to get these students to be able to participate more into the gym classes.
That's great.
And special education enrollment's not going down,
It's not going
it's
down.
going up.
So this is the high school, is that's pros, they don't have a program right now, this is the new one that you're
Yes, the
starting
high
up?
school is the only school that does not have a program currently.
Okay.
Two questions. Last year, the Board of Ed's budget had, one administrator. This year you have two. What's the additional administrator?
The director of pupil services and the assistant superintendent position was split, after the passage of this current year's budget. And this year we're using, some of the, assumed, non-lapsing fund, which is still TBD what the actual amount is. But that's what we're using to fill that gap this year. That decision was made before my time here, but that's my understanding was that it was the decision of the board to split that position, after the transition of administrators. So that's why when it says reinstate, it's already been reinstated, so we're paying for it currently this year. We have two administrators.
And I mean, I can speak a little bit to it. The board at the time when it became available at the end of the year. We looked at it and go, the assistant superintendent was filling part of the role. And we had Linda split in, I think, 5 different directions. The goal was to provide the necessary resources to adequately service the students, do the enormous mountains of paperwork that the government requires, the state requires to be able to make sure that these programs are run properly, all the paperwork is done appropriately. And it's just, how do we manage all the PPTs that are happening as everything is increasing? You need people at a certain level that can be in those meetings, because if they're handled correctly, then the students get the services they need, they stay in the least restrictive environment possible. And we make sure that we manage our resources, whether it's how many pairs are assigned to which students and how our resources are allocated. And it's important to have enough resources to manage that. It's a very large part of our budget. And it's an area that in some ways we've underfunded, and we've taken responsibilities and spread them around, saying, well, we'll take 10% of that job and we'll give it to this person. And 5% we'll give it to this person. We'll make it a stipend for that person. And we needed to not do that, because we needed people who could just focus on their area and maximize what we're providing for our students, especially those that need the additional services. So,
If I could expand a little bit on that as well. We had principals that were sitting in on meetings and PPT meetings and stuff like that, where it was taking up their entire day. And they couldn't do their administrative roles because of the time that the meetings were taking. And then we decided to fund the PPS in June or whatever it was.
it was at the end of the year, yeah.
Yeah, so, to put responsibility on the appropriate person and not inappropriate person.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I mean, I understand the whole complexity as far as the requirements that the state puts on you. Last year, though, the 2 lower schools wanted assistant principals. They used the shared principal or assistant principal.
Yeah, correct.
Is that, maybe I missed it, is that still shared, or are you gonna, because there's paperwork?
Earlier.
That's you, sorry.
Bigger end goes, that's me.
Okay, but, so with all the administrative paperwork, though, I'm surprised you didn't ask for an assistant principal at both schools, since you're asking for an assistant director of public, pupil services. I don't know if you needed it or not, or is that paperwork?
We'll always take one, like, yes.
I'm just wondering if the paperwork is needed.
And right now, we are meeting the needs that we have. I mean, we lost our assistant superintendent, who used to be the director of PPS. And so in that situation, it created a bubble of sorts, and we decided not to undercut the the responsibility for that department.
Also, the shared position was state mandated too, so that wasn't something that we could just not have anymore. It was something that we had to do as a board. So the state thing that we had to do.
But we would love to have an assistant at both of the elementary schools. We have an assistant at every middle school, high school. And we split one at the elementaries, but at the time, and based on the budget that we work with, we stretch it as far as we can, so. Any other questions for PPS?
Are you finding that there's a lot more pre-K students that you're identifying need these higher level classes of instruction?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have Eric Williams to present for curriculum.
You just put it in the. Alright, so some of my stuff has already been talked about the way, my budget works. A lot of the curriculum instruction, obviously I have my own, a piece to the budget, a lot of it lives elsewhere too in regards to my responsibility. As you can see with some of the discussion with the other schools, and as we'll see with especially IT, with the past decade, a lot of programs, moving to the software side of things. In regards to the budget for, next year, some of the line items, staying similar. So in regards to curriculum writing and, the professional development we provide, with the curriculum writing, just continuing the revision and the writing we've been doing, identifying the needs throughout the district and just working through that piece. The professional development, the far majority of the PD budget for every school and department come out of this budget. So within this budget, I'll put $10,000 in for general district needs. And what that goes towards is each year teachers have a goal as part of their evaluation. And there will be PD requests around that are focused on their goal. So that money is set aside for every single staff member in the district as requests come in. I also cover in this budget the special education professional development, which includes, next year we're looking at having a focus on co-teaching and getting professional development in that area, but as well as any evaluations that change, new staff training, that all comes out of this budget. Miss Trigger talked about the focus on play-based learning at K-5. So we did bring a presenter in this year. We're going to continue that work next year. It's a state initiative as well as building focus. So all of that, all that cost of professional development will come out of my line item. And then one other piece, the AP training. So any of the new course offerings we have, if there's a teacher teaching AP, they need to go through AP training. So that also comes out of my budget. One of the big changes that you notice in my lines, the instructional supplies, obviously a big jump. Part of that, it's basically two reasons for that. One is the EMT supplies for year one is $10,000. Talking to Oxford EMS, this will probably go down to about, around 2,500, maybe 5,000 max yearly after that. But as we discussed, typically what happens is year one of programming is covered through my budget. And then as the program is adopted and continued, it moves to whatever school it's in, if it is school specific. So as we spoke about before, the $10,000 for supplies in my budget for next school year, the following one would go over to the high school if that is adopted. The other big increase is K-5 math workbooks are consumables. That's for all students in grades kindergarten through grade 5. The contract is up. We signed a 6-year contract years ago. So that contract is up. And there's a roughly $26,000 cost for the consumables for next year to cover the math programming for grades K through 5. So those two, the EMT supplies as well as the math consumables for students, is what the increase in instructional supplies is. In regards to professional materials, the reason there's a small increase there is if we do get the K-5 STEM coach, I do have supply line item or do provide supplies for the coaches, because they are across multiple schools. I do have this year, due to some possible new course additions, a textbook line for the AP Environmental, and if we do have to buy more AP pre-calc books, if those courses do go through. Again, new course, new programming, it would stay with me for just the adoption, and then when updates are needed, they would move over to the high school. And then, the other big jump in the budget is the dues and fees line. That is where the fee to the EMS currently lives. Looking about $1,400 per student, and budgeted for 15 students being $21,000. So that is the major increase in that dues fees line is for that EMT course.
I know we've had curriculum questions throughout the night, but do we have any additional?
Well, where does AI fit into the Oxford school system? Because I actually have a lot of writing, and a lot of writing, and a lot of reports and everything else.
Yep.
Doesn't AI fit in?
In regards to student instruction or staff use?
Staffing.
So currently, staff have access to, obviously AI tools. We are a Google school, so we try to push Gemini. We've done some training. We had, one of the state leaders in AI, Matt Mervis, come do a presentation for the board last year, as well as, professional development for staff. It is being used more for, I guess you could say, brainstorming type activities in regards to fully implementing like staff using it in the classroom. And actual AI software, I would say we're probably limited at this point.
I was thinking too, of a lot of the administrative work, so, paper, pencil, whatever you have out there. AI is taking over industry. Okay, some of the school systems I read already implemented AI. Okay, things like the police department, where they have to write reports all the time, now they have software that can do a good part of the report. It
Yep.
saves them a lot of time, puts them back out. So someplace, you gotta find AI to see what you could get out of it, and what it can, where it could be more cost effective.
We're still learning. I use it often, kind of as you would, as more of like an assistant than here, I trust you to take this and send it out to the public. For example, I do a lot of brainstorming work with the data assessment report going through. I don't trust it to, hey, I'm gonna turn this over and present this as fact. But I do use it as a lot of the brainstorming tools, and again, that's, we do use it when we do curriculum writing, again, for brainstorming. When we look at the units that we write and to help us review it, revise it, we don't let it write the curriculum for us. It is, again, more of a brainstorming partner tool, so that's how we use it right now. We actually, there's a meeting coming up on, administrative AI. I signed up for it.
Yeah.
In regards to how to use it to help with, making ourselves more efficient. So I think we're still,
work partner.
yeah, I think we're still learning like everyone is, but definitely fearful of, hey, we're trusting this to do our work for us.
I think the other piece is that we have high-level professionals making really important decisions about individual kids' education. And being able to release that to AI is just simply not something that we're interested in. Our teachers are making big decisions about kids and their learning and their progress every day. And they're looking at multiple forms of data to do that, a lot under the direction of Eric and his department, his office, working alongside those coaches in the classroom. We're a people business, we're a human business, and we have to remember that, and balance that with certainly the competitive thrum of AI taking over the business world. And I think certainly we can talk about the place for it as a work partner in education. But the human side of education remains,
And we're using it,
I don't think.
like all staff are using it, we're just not to the point of, hey, we're able to cut the budget because of it.
Want to put it that way, it's replacing people,
Yeah.
but it could save you a lot of time if you could do a lot of the mundane things.
Yep.
Like programs, it's doing a lot of programming, it's doing, all the little detail. That saves you a lot of time, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We use it a ton for that in the IT department. It writes scripts way faster than we could even possibly do it. And it changes it faster, even faster. It's crazy.
Well, then every student can do their math homework on it. Never get it wrong.
Yeah, we hope not.
I've already tried to block that one. I guess.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Rick.
Good, let's lead into Jim presenting on our IT budget.
Yeah, okay, so a lot of my budget is driven by hardware and software. It's literally hardware and software, and unfortunately, I carry a lot of Eric's software. His subscriptions for curriculum-based stuff lives with me, mostly because it's easier for me to keep track of when it expires and when it doesn't expire, and to do requisitions for them, quite frankly. So the three big ones that are Eric's are the illustrative math one, the Satis Science was our middle school science curriculum. And he would like to add amplified dibbles. Eric, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. So in regards to software and program around the district, say roughly, I think I did the quick math about $75,000
Yeah.
worth of program around the district through IXL, which is district wide. Like Jim said, the math program, the science social studies at the middle school are smaller programs, but it's probably the IXL and the math are the biggest. When he says dibbles, the board remembers in regards to the language arts, that is what we are using for the state required right to read act. And that's roughly $13,000 a year to run that. The ask, the addition is if we do get a K-5 STEM coach. This was brought up previously, but one of the things we saw is we've been doing a lot of work around our SRBI process and intervention with students. And we use the DIBELS data often for that. And besides giving that assessment a couple times a year, we also use that for progress monitoring. We meet every 6 to 8 weeks to review where students are at, make determination on who's going into tier 2, tier 3 intervention, how teachers are pulling small group. That is used all the time. And through our discussions and meetings, there is a discrepancy in regards to what we have on the math side of things. Partly it's because the state came out with the Right to Read Act and said, you need to have this, and which is why, we did, and we see the benefit of it. And through the STEM coach and the addition of basically the math version of DIBELS, we're looking to create that even playing field, specifically for the K-5 realm with the maths.
And that kind of leads us into one of the new asks from the IT side is we do not have a current student dashboard, I'll call it. Where it collects all the data from students. Currently, we're doing data collection in not so much in QFS, but goes specifically in spreadsheets, and then that spreadsheet never gets passed on to the next person. So all that data is not now lost. So part of the IT ask is to purchase a student dashboard so that we can track and do MTSS effectively. And keep all of their standardized test scores. So your SBAC and your SATs and your DIBELS and your hopefully get it down to even where we're doing common assessments across the grades. Where are we falling as a district in those areas? We currently don't have that. So that's one of my asks. We're also trying to hit on the communication side. Communication is kind of broken right now. Not in fact that it doesn't work, but it's many different spots, like the website, the email blasts, and nothing is really aggregating. So combining them all into one would be ideal to give us a platform that would service our website as well as service communication the same way our normal email communication does, where we can send the alerts out and we can target specific groups. Also give the parents two-way communication between them and teachers as well. It does come with its own app, and you can actually much easier aggregate those messages out. For example, the district that I live in uses the same app. And the one I go to all the time is parking. You get the parking email for your parking pass at the beginning of the year. But if my student doesn't get his his driver's license till May, now I gotta hunt back to find that email. I pinned it in the app, so I know, because my kid is getting his license soon, and I just go back to it right away, so I can get his parking pass. So it does have a lot of advantages, and that two-way communication between the teachers and the parents lives inside that app as well. So that's another one of our apps. We are doing on the security side, we would like to continue to pay for upgrades to our Milestone software, which runs our cameras. We didn't upgrade the Milestone until this year. It is a pretty big ask, it's like $10,000 to get those upgrades. But as you get those upgrades, the cameras then become more analytical and take advantage of AI. So we'd like to do that as well. So that's pretty much it from the software side. You will notice that there are some negatives on mine as well. And the communication line went down. We were paying for Frontier phone lines for probably close to 6 years and not using any of them. So we are slowly but surely trying to chip away at those. I think they even date back to when CO was there a phone building that the CO was in before Tommy K's?
Yes.
It dates back to when we were there, which was way before me. So we're just slowly trying to chip away at those numbers. So that's why you'll see the decrease there. And then the hardware side, we are going to continue our student laptop program where students get Chromebooks in grades 3 and 8. And still try to supplement, because Quaker still does have them. They don't use them nearly as much. So they don't break as much. They don't get used as much. So we'll slowly purchase, a 15% replacement of Quaker as we go. And we currently started leasing them last year. We purchased, this current year, we purchased laptops and desktops, and we're trying to move away from the desktop realm and start getting more toward the docking station side, but that's going to be a slow roll, and it probably will start with this group, this lease, this next upcoming fiscal year lease.
A few IT questions.
Sure.
So those leases, that's for the new laptops?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Give us an update on the IT upgrade.
We have a meeting tomorrow with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Yeah, it was passed through E-rate. We were granted it, and we just have to now get a PO for the town.
Okay.
I don't know how far
Yeah.
far removed you are from that project. We've been meeting about it for
Yeah.
a year, it feels like. But it came down to our firewalls, which protect our school data. They're expiring, and they're getting to a point where we can't update them. And that's why it was a capital improvement project. You graciously gave us that, and we took a year time, not a full year, but we took a large number of months evaluating. We brought in an independent auditor just to help make sure that when we spend this money, we spend every penny we can. We mix in an E-rate, which is a government federal program that reimburses us, so we maximize every penny we can spend to do the work, because when you up, it's a trickle effect. So when you update the firewalls, you can't just update the firewalls, because then the switches and the access points don't work with the new firewalls. So it causes a trickle effect. So when you upgrade one, you have to upgrade the switches, and we have a lot of switches that spread around the district. And you have to update the access points, because the access points, which is what gives off the internet to everyone, it broadcasts it for wireless, because most of our devices are wireless. And it's just that trickle effect that costs a lot of money. Jim's been spearheading it, and we're finally got to the point where the board approved it, brought a selectman. I think from my understanding, we had a meeting with the selectmen.
Tomorrow.
And tomorrow they're gonna be.
And hopefully it gets passed to you guys, I think, at the end of this month.
But how future proofing are we with the switches and the access points, because Wi-Fi changes all the time?
Yeah.
We're at Wi-Fi.
So what we had, the company that we use is Fortinet, which is a very high in the industry. It's a very high industry standard. They came and did a survey for us. We currently use them now.
Okay.
We
And
met
what are
with
we
them.
putting in?
I'm sorry?
What are we putting in?
6E.
So that's older technology.
Yeah, but there's nothing out that has 6E yet.
Everything being introduced is 7
And
and
close, but not stuff that we're using. Chromebooks,
will be.
Chromebooks will not have 6, 7 anytime soon.
So in some point in the future, that will be outdated.
Of course, just
And
like the switches. So it's just that constant, you know, 5 to 7 year cycle that we will have to do, yeah.
So if I could jump in here real quick. I'm not gonna talk about the IT stuff because that's Mike and Jim. What I will tell you guys is that when I, as previous board chair, I wanted to make sure that we were getting the most bang for our buck. Through Jim and Mike's knowledge, Ralph and Mike D'Agostino, basic Fortinet said you should not be moving over to 7. You should go to 6E, because what you use, as Jim just said, it here isn't gonna require it. And to be honest with you, like I was all for, Mike can will remember this, I was all for going to 7. But after talking to the people that came in and consulted with us, it was determined that, number one, we don't use something down the road, it's gonna be. What's
could be
another,
out
like
to
7 to 10
9. Yeah, it could
years,
be out.
something
Yeah.
like that, before we use like 7 and 6E was a cost savings.
So as, again, so everything costs something, right? So those new laptops are $700 as opposed to $400. So I'm getting double at the lower rate. So, and again, if they're student driven, they're not gonna tell the difference. They really won't.
Between the people on the facility subcommittee, Mike, Jim, Mike D'Agostino, we really slow rolled this so that we knew exactly what we were getting. And we knew that we were getting the most for what we were paying for. That's, I don't know if
Well, yeah, absolutely, and we looked at bandwidth. It was the volume of our cameras, for example, they're not on Wi-Fi, they're all PoE Ethernet run. The computer labs, they're Ethernet run. So there's not that bandwidth, it's the Chromebooks in the classrooms that the students are using. The programs that they're using is basic, there's not a high data volume, and because I was the one pushing 7.
Yeah.
I was probably obnoxiously pushing 7.
The nice thing is that if we decide to go that route, we buy a few APs that are 7 driven off to fit that need that we would have. Quaker Farms is never gonna need the 7, Wi-Fi 7.
And what dashboard software are you thinking of?
We were gonna go with Power School because that's what our SIS is.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would play nicely. We tend to get a little segregated where we use something like Power School, and if you go to EduClimber or you go to the one we saw that was from Texas, I can't remember the other
Is
name.
it for your own internal use or for
Correct.
parents use?
Correct, well, both.
Okay.
Both. But it would give us warnings. It would help us target kids that are on that peripheral, and maybe get that kid that's at a 2 to a 3 and that 3 to a 4. State testing wise, and that's kind of where our numbers get really good, you know.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you so much, Jim. Any other?
Next, we have Mike D'Agostino to discuss our facilities budget. Evening, everyone. Facilities should be, our goal should be that we're not noticed. If facility management is being done well and effectively, you don't notice that it's happening. Sort of like going to a faucet, turning it on, and we expect the water to come out. The secondary part of that goal is for it to therefore enhance the learning experience. If facilities is running smoothly and the physical plant is running properly, it's unnoticed and the learning experience can proceed unabated. And that's sort of what our goal is. Sometimes we hit our mark. No. There's some challenges that we have sometimes we try to overcome. The facility department has 9 full-time custodians, 9 part-time custodians, and district management technician.
And they're all extremely hardworking individuals and they do a great job. So they should all be applauded for it. Our facility department consists of 4 buildings, which is approximately 500,000 square feet of commercial, essentially commercial building. Some of the goals that I wanted to put into this budget would be to evaluate and repair deficiencies identified in the fuel delivery system at the high school. What does that mean? Well, we've been having a lot of issues at the high school with the boiler system getting its fuel so that it can run smoothly, efficiently, without disrupting the school. So there are some challenges there that we're taking care of, and there's probably a project that needs to happen sooner than later, and will probably happen over the summertime if we were able to do it. The second thing is that there's some repairs that are needed here at this school in the gym floor. There's some part of the floor that is damaged and actually missing. It's not on the playing part of the court, but it still needs to be done and corrected. So having a reliable fuel delivery obviously ensures a more comfortable learning environment. We've had a couple of instances where unfortunately Ms. O'Brien had to clear out the school temporarily because some fuel that was not fully combusted provided soot that got sucked into the AC system and the school smelled like diesel fuel. So that's just an example of when it doesn't work properly, what can happen. Obviously repairing the gym provides a safer environment for the children to exercise. Our budget for this year is larger than last year. But if you were to take a look at the last 4 to 5 years, our budget ask is what the actual has been for the last 4 or 5 years, the average of that. So essentially, we're looking just to include what our normal expenses have, our actual expenses have been into this year's budget. I can go through specifics as to why some of those things, some examples of why our budget is sort of a fluid target at some point. There are a lot of things that happen that you don't expect are going to happen. So for example, this year at the high school, the culinary arts dishwasher stopped working and needed to be replaced. It was at the end of its life and it stopped working. Well, it was an $8,000 piece of appliance that was not budgeted for. The fuel system that I'm talking about, we had to take an intermediary measure to try and get us through this heating season. And we did something that's called fuel spinning, which is essentially a fancy term for a company to come out, an environmental firm to come out and filter the existing fuel out of the tank that you have and then put it back into the tank that you have. That fuel spinning and the repairs that we're talking about doing will probably total somewhere between $12,000 to $15,000. And also at the high school, we've had some challenges with the walk-in cooler, walk-in refrigerator, and we've had repairs there that have probably totaled around $5,000. All 3 of those things were not budgeted for this year. So those are the kinds of examples where we can have something happen that you don't really have an opportunity to say, well, we'll hold off. You have to get it done. Also at the middle school, we had a situation with the septic tank and the panel for the pump failed. And we obviously had to fix that as well. And that was close to about $6,000 to do that. So that's the goal for our budget, is to try and identify as many things as we can and put them in the budget so that we don't have those unnecessary transfers or unforeseen transfers in the middle of the year or towards the end of the year. That's why there's the increase in the budget ask this year. Any questions?
The roof at middle school, does the leak stop?
No.
No, is that under warranty?
It will be, it should be. We have had O&G out a number of times. We have had O&G has brought out their own company to take a look at it and make repairs. We're still having issues.
How bad is the leak?
I'm sorry,
How bad is the leak?
it depends on exactly how much rain we're getting and what direction the wind is coming from, but yes, it's still bad.
I go to fill up this room, the leak. No,
Probably not, but it also hit some of Jim's equipment in one time in one of the closets, so it does cause damage. We are having a 10-year study, comprehensive study done on all of the physical plant. And they brought in roof engineers to take a look at it, and their findings are gonna be very telling. They're gonna be very incendiary, I think.
but you know,
what they found.
geez, we had that same problem when they built the high school.
Okay.
Water leak by the window, so it took forever to get that fixed. I don't understand it. This is under warranty.
Mhm.
And also, I would say, wouldn't the septic system in that school be under warranty?
That was a panel that got struck by lightning,
Okay.
and so the
So
panel
that's
was live,
insurance?
and it didn't reach the limit of the minimum deposit for the.
Okay. And then how about the floor?
Thank you.
The water got on the floor at Quaker Farm School, the gym.
Yes,
Was that an insurance claim or?
no,
See, we got it in the budget.
at the Quaker Farm School,
Which one you put in?
here I go.
Right here.
Yeah, that goes. This damage is not related to that.
Okay,
The water went under the basketball court at the high school, and that was done through insurance.
and just for information here, the grants that we receive for this school, the Quaker Farm School, goes through the Board of Education. We can't get into that because we have the passport and everything to try to get our money. We put a lot of this work here about 3 years ago when we start this. Basically, Quaker Farm, Great Oak.
Great Oak was,
All the
2 to 3
HVAC and all that.
2 to 3 years ago.
State, we've gave them all the bills and we still haven't received about $1 million on that.
Yeah, I'm working with Herman Schuler on that.
I don't understand, I really don't understand why. If they have all the bills, they have everything, why they're still holding up $1 million back on us.
I don't have an answer for you on that, in
Okay.
terms of why the state is holding back the money,
And
but all of the paperwork has been submitted.
the same thing with the middle school,
That's correct.
they still always close out, probably $1 million there too. It could be more. And of course, Quaker Farms, we did collect some money, but we got a big outstanding bill, so that's a lot of money that we just don't have.
Mhm.
And this is all repairs here. So I gotta go back to we can't call the state, those grants came through the superintendent's office. Okay, so I mean, if somebody wants to make a daily call to them, or weekly call to them, be my guest.
For $1 million, we'll make the calls that's necessary. I have a question for a risk that's outstanding. Can you tell us about fire panel? We had a fire panel issue in one school and we have a possible fire panel end of life in another.
Yes, so in this building, we had I don't know if it was a lightning strike or a power surge or something. The fire panel no longer worked. And we had a fire watch here thankfully only for one day. We only had the fire watch here, so fire watch is the fire company has to have someone here physically in the building 24/7, and we're paying that person $55 an hour to do that. So, and we had multiple people doing that because of the size of the building. Our vendor was able to source another panel within, I don't know, 10 hours. Happened to find one in the state of Connecticut and drove there and took it off the shelf and brought it here. And that one panel that we were able to find also was compatible with all of the end devices, which is the smoke detectors and everything else. So we were only down for a short period of time with a fire watch. We have an antiquated fire panel at Quaker Farms. And if that should fail, we are looking at having to replace that panel. We wouldn't be able to find something similar. We'd have to replace that panel, and therefore everything that panel would not be compatible with any of the other end devices, and we would then be replacing all of those end devices.
How many end device, like, is this the smoke detectors, like
The heat detectors, smoke detectors, the strobes. So there's approximately 125 end units over at Quaker Farms. So the panel itself is a few $1,000s, probably less than $8. And it's all the labor having to wire everything and do that. So that would probably be $100,000.
So is that in your capital plan?
That would be a capital plan.
But it's a risk that if it hits before we get that accomplished, do a fire watch 24 hours a day. And it takes,
So that is one of the major risks that I see in this portfolio build.
So what's the time frame to get it fixed?
We need to get the funding.
I mean, you have a budget.
Yep.
Okay, we don't have line item authority in your budget.
Correct.
If you have a budget of, let's say, $35 million,
Mhm.
you needed to get this thing fixed right now, you gotta be, jump on the ball here and say, here, I gotta get it fixed, hurry.
I don't think I'd be accused of not spending money. But yes, you are correct. But we have to delineate the money and set it aside and go forward with that.
Oh, well, see if we get, the money replaced, but we gotta do the fire go.
Are the audits on the buildings all done? That the architecture group?
Not yet. They're supposed to be coming out with a draft, I believe, in the next couple of weeks.
by the way, that 10-year study that we're doing, we pulled from central activities. So we didn't take it out of the operating budget, but it was necessary because our buildings are old. I mean, Jack, you know that we do what we can with what we have. But sometimes we have to look at it from a deeper set of eyes and also project, because we don't like having surprises. We're not in the business of surprises. And I don't think the Board of Finance likes surprises. No one likes them. So that's why we did it, so we can have a nice outlook. So I think we did it, what was it, 2016? And we're due for another 10-year study to help kind of guide as we project what we need and when. So. Any other questions for Mike?
Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
Happy New Year.
Next, we have Brian Beiger to present safety and security. I realized as we were moving through, I accidentally forgot to put our budget book. But for the pages to be added.
Good start.
All right, so good evening. My name is Brian Viger. I'm the Director of Security for the Oxford Public Schools. I just want to thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the security units. My goal tonight is to provide a high-level overview of the proposed security budget, and more importantly, explain why these investments matter to the safety and security of our students, staff, and the broader Oxford community. School security today is no longer just about locks and cameras. Nationwide, districts are shifting toward a layered, prevention-focused approach that emphasizes on early detection, rapid communication, and coordinated response. Unfortunately, incidents across the country, both violent and medical, continue to demonstrate that preparation and response time do matter. Over the past year, Oxford Public Schools has taken deliberate steps to strengthen the security posture. We currently have armed security, established access controls, monitoring systems, emergency communication tools in place, just to name a few. We've collaborated with our town emergency responders, conducted vulnerability assessments of every school and district facility to identify gaps and opportunities for improvement. Audits to ensure compliance with our new security SOPs, standard operating procedures, and the creation of EOPs, emergency operations plans, for both school admin and district admin. What this proposed budget reflects is the next step strengthening our already established security framework toward best practice execution. The requested funding focuses on three core priorities. First, life safety and rapid response. Tools such as wearable panic alarms allow staff to immediately summon help during an emergency, a medical emergency, behavioral incident, or security threat without escalating the situation or losing time. The proposed wearable panic alarms would be fully integrated with our current ENS emergency notification system. When activated, they would immediately notify or alert administrators and first responders and provide the physical location of the individual who triggered the alarm. Nationwide, these systems are becoming standard because they dramatically reduce response time and improve coordination with administrators and first responders. Staff have also been clear that quick, discreet access to help is a priority. Second, prevention and deterrent. Across the country, districts are investing in weapons detection and enhanced screening technologies, not as replacement for people or procedures, but as an added layer for protection. These systems act as deterrents, identify threats before they enter instructional spaces, and support safer after-school and community events. Third, staffing, training, and operational sustainability. Safety systems only work if they are properly staffed, monitored, and maintained. The proposed increase supports consistent coverage, professional development, and the ability to respond flexibly to emerging needs. This aligns with what we've seen nationwide, that districts that under-resourced security often pay more later through reactive spending, disruption, or liability. This proposal also reflects that what are we hearing from our school community. Staff have asked for clearer communication, faster response capabilities, and consistency. Families want to reassure that safety is being addressed proactively and not reactively. The broader Oxford community expects our schools to be secure, not just during the school day, but during evenings, weekends, and public events. It is important to emphasize that this is not about creating a fortress or reacting out of fear. It is about reasonable, responsible planning, balancing safety with the welcoming environment that defines the Oxford Public Schools. These investments are measured, aligned with national trends, and grounded in local feedback. In closing, the requested funding allows us to stay ahead of the risks rather than chase them. It strengthens prevention, improves response, and demonstrates a clear commitment to protecting students, staff, and visitors. School safety is not a simple purchase. It's an ongoing responsibility, and this budget positions the Oxford Public Schools to meet that responsibility thoughtfully and effectively. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions. However, I do want to note that please understand that some of the questions I may unable to be today to respond at this time to the safety and security of them.
Like, can you answer what a go bag is?
Yes, a go bag is basically in the event that we have an emergency, a fire evacuation to the worst case scenario of an intruder, we have to evacuate the building. That would allow those sectors or those areas within those schools to activate the go bag so that they would have the necessary tools outside of the actual affected school. That would include first aid, radios, things of that nature, all the way down to toilet paper, depending on the needs.
And for weapons detection, are we talking like putting in?
Metal detectors? No, great question. These are systems that would be integrated in terms of what Jim was talking about with the upgrades to our camera systems or our DNS. That would live within the actual camera system. So they would not be noticeable at all. They would live within designated camera systems cameras that we would select based on the population of the schools. And then it would live in there, not an actual metal detector or anything that would be visible.
So we could just.
AI, yeah,
It's AI,
mostly AI driven.
Yeah, this is why it's important that we're updating our VMS, the analytics, the AI technology, weapons detection, all of these things are integrated directly into those systems.
Is it actual weapons detection or the potential for a weapon?
No, it's actual weapons detection. It's important to know that all of these systems basically follow the same philosophy. So it's important to also note that if this was deployed, we would approximately see a false positive within the first week. And so AI can associate a particular identification myself. If I'm walking a weapon, it would detect, basically associate that weapon with that individual. It would also associate that individual with that weapon holster. If that weapon were to be drawn now, it's a different threat. That would notify AI, that would go to there's a bunch of different companies that we're looking for. That would go to their emergency operations center. And within 3 seconds, a human eye would be looking at it to determine whether that's a credible threat or it's a police officer or someone that's within the building that's authorized to be there. And
So
then based on the way that we
would be visible.
I'm sorry, what's
The
that?
weapon has to be visible. It's not like.
No, it could be holstered. I mean, ultimately, yes, if it's hidden within a bag, it's not gonna be able to be detected. You're not gonna find any systems out there outside of like the NSA or something along the government agencies that are gonna detect that. If you guys are willing to approve that, we'll find it.
What's digital mapping?
Digital mapping, so right now, this is for sustainability and more important is succession planning. Myself, like all of the ASOs, were retired law enforcement. So this is for more succession planning, not if I leave, when I leave. Whoever takes over this role will be able to sustain what we've been doing. I came in here with a level of proficiency utilizing Google Earth maps, manipulating maps to do what we're doing so that you could physically locate all of our emergency response devices, our fire pull stations, our fire alarms, our fire extinguishers within a map. This would allow that we would set it up one time, and as the district grows, you know, what we're doing over now with central office and we're putting walls in, we can add that with digital mapping. And again, that's a one-time cost, depending on what system we go with. So that the goal would be to get it to a certain level, leave it, and then update as needed.
How much of the equipment cost of just approximately is that digital mapping piece?
Depending on what we're looking at, but roughly between $4,000 to $6,000. And again, that's a one-time cost, depending on what system we go with. There are systems also that provide annual costs. That's something new for me during dealing with education. It's important to know, like the wearable panic alarms, those are a one-time fee. There are no added subscriptions that's built into our emergency notification system. So that'll be included in our annual subscription. Again, no increase there. It'll be a one-time cost. The weapons detection is a revolving door. It's an annual cost. We hope to see as we evolve with AI and analytics, that would be absorbed into that VMS, that actual annual cost for the updates. Currently, right now, it's going to be a separate platform. The important thing to note also is that all the systems would be integrated into our current system, so that therefore adding an extra layer in terms of what we already have.
And then what do you anticipate for, like life cycling, like of the physical devices, the panic device, not the subscriptions, but like they'll get lost, they'll go through the wash, you know?
Yes, I mean, it's a nominal fee right now. That budget also allows us to buy more than what's needed. The goal is to have every staff member have one, as well as have about 5 to 10% extra, depending on what we're working on in terms of what's approved as well. But I mean, in terms of the life cycle, right now, I think it's upward of 10 to 12 years.
Any additional questions?
Just really quickly, as most of you know, this was the major reason that I joined the board prior to the change, because Brian's done such a good job with this, but, this school district has gone from okay security wise to one of the top schools security wise in the entire state. And it would be, advantageous to us to continue to get better and better at it, because we're protecting kids here.
Each school has security, each school has a security.
Yeah, the two elementary schools have ASOs, armed security officers. The middle school and the high school have SROs, school resource officers, which are fully funded by the PD.
And what's our confidence as far as the security of the school when there's outside events? For example, we came into the building tonight, the front door is unlocked. Somebody at the front door right now? No. So somebody could walk in if they really wanted to go hide out somewhere. So outside events, like how secure are the, without getting into specifics, are you confident that the schools are secure?
Yeah, so the schools have the ability to be quarantined specific to the actual location where the events are being held, specifically like, sporting events at the high school or the middle school, events here. And there are internal SOPs within designated staff within the district that are responsible for ensuring the basically the security of the building prior to exiting the building and alarming it for the evening. It is important to note also the weapons detection system is a 24/7, 365.
Any additional questions? Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.
Now we're getting into the home stretch here, so, the central office, so this is gonna be, myself and Garen and, Ralph, covering some of these pieces. Obviously, the goal of the central office at the core is to provide support and, to the students and the staff, so that we have success, in the classroom, Some of that is aimed at communications, as you're aware. We're currently doing the communications audit. One of the pieces that we're looking to do is add a part-time position for communications to help operationalize and implement what comes out of that communications audit. We're also looking to add a human resources bookkeeper. That's one of the pieces that we've identified really as not just administrators, but also our central office staff has discussed it quite extensively. I'm gonna turn it over to Karen to discuss a little bit more about that.
Yeah, one of the things that Dr. Marino and I did coming into this job is try to understand roles and responsibilities. And we've heard loud and clear from our support staff at central office just how trying it is on a regular basis, particularly for our two bookkeepers that we have right now in payroll and accounts payable to do their work within a regular work week. There's been significant changes at the state level related to human resources. I'm sure you guys know this from the town side as well. Not only have there been changes to retirement systems that impact us, MERS 2.0, how there's been changes to TRB and the reporting requirements that we have to the state. But there's also been significant changes to different types of paid leave. All of that impacts us on a daily basis because each individual staff member has to have individual calculations done for all of these things. As leave needs come up, as new calculations come up, those have fallen under payroll. And it's just simply not sustainable. One of the, sort of areas that has been spread across, Mike, to your point earlier, many different functions is human resources. And our goal here is really to try to streamline to a more sustainable model. Adding this bookkeeper role will alleviate the excess burden that's been put on the two bookkeepers that we have, allowing them to focus on payroll and accounts payable as they should, and have someone that specializes in human resources, understands the paid leave requirements, understands the ins and outs of the reporting requirements from some of these new state mandates, and can also help us streamline the pieces of HR that have been spread across the clerical staff and administrative staff at central office right now, working under the direction of the administrators that are also involved in HR right now. That's myself and Mike D'Agostino.
So obviously our biggest budget driver is the addition of those two positions, the HR bookkeeper role and the part-time communications role. Most of our other pieces, we're correcting a few things here and there to adjust to what our actual expenses have been in the last couple of years. Any questions about the central office?
Well, I don't know if it would fall under this or a different budget item, but Jack mentioned earlier about the Central Activities Fund. What are this, because our operating budget can't take any, we can't commingle. There's certain funds that can't commingle. So for example, if we have, workers' comp, resources or money that comes in, or preschool program as students pay for that program, it comes in there as, it's like a landing point and then it goes off. So what are some of the dollar amounts? I know E-rate goes there. So when we get E-rate, grants, it parks there because the operating budget can't take profit. Like we can't commingle those types of movements. So I don't know if you take a minute, like, are there any major buckets? Cause I know, Jack, you're concerned that number in the central activities is kind of high, but I know we park a lot of money there that whether it's insurance, that parks there, and then we make payments for the, employees or workman's comp or E-rate. These are just large buckets that money comes in and it's not there for long, but it's a placeholder and then funds go out, whether it's, the preschool program that pays out to the town. We don't get profit from that. Tuitions, things like that it comes in, it's parked, and then it goes out. I don't know if I'm missing anything major.
Yeah, so there, we do have several funds, you know, obviously the general fund is the one, our funding from the town. We have our central activities, which is pass-through account for a lot of things, such as our medical insurance. When we hope, you know, withhold from the deductions from the employees who elect to take benefits. You know, it's kind of passes through, it's deducted out of their paychecks, goes into there. Things like preschool tuition is collected there. We just got the invoice from the town a couple weeks ago for our preschool. We also, you know, our grants fund is separate, and we do use the grants funding to help cover some of these general funds, such as our IDA funding. We use mostly to cover staff. So typically it's been a couple teachers or much of 2 teachers we can do, and then paraprofessionals. Specifically those who are outside of one-to-ones, because the idea of IDA is to help support, you know, as many students as we can. And then with the title funds, those are a little bit more controlled and uncontrolled as far as they, you know, they have to be for the wide spray of the district, not just for special education students. And we use that again primarily for staffing. So a lot of that is used for tutors. That's really our biggest driver for those other funds. So we do use those, and most of those funds have been captured within our budget. As far as there are 21 special ed teachers that are listed in our PPS, but however, 2 of those are 0 because we use IDA funding to cover that expense. So it's in our budget as far as the position, but the actual number in there is 0. So we do use those funds as much as we can. And it's part of the discussion that started since we started our budget process has been to look into central activities and student activities specifically to make sure that we follow the proper protocol and if there are funds that we're able to use to help alleviate some of these, operational budget items, that we find the way to release them adequately and please the auditors and follow the laws. Because a lot of them, you know, are collected for a purpose and we can't just, to the question earlier, we can't just release things just because we have a large bucket of money. And I know for our central activities, you know, for instance, we used almost $90,000 was earmarked for the 10-year facility. So that's a big pool that we pulled just out of the central activities from the culmination over years for that funding. And the medical balance is somewhat of a timing thing because it comes in, it goes out. So that fluctuates some, based off of when we recognize when the invoices come in and when the deductions come in with payrolls, because 26 payrolls to 12 months doesn't equal out very cleanly all the time. So hopefully that helps clarify some. So we are looking to make sure that those funds that are sitting there, we don't want to have coffers sitting there for things. We do need to be, the non-lapsing fund rate is meant for a rainy day is the hope, or to help cover some of these things in our budgets, like we're using it this year, like we've talked about for PPS and a few other items. We are mindful that we're a nonprofit, we're a governmental public and we should be sitting on large amounts of money, but some of it is timing.
Out there are nonprofits, they don't want to be nonprofits.
So we are trying to be mindful of those funds and use them to the fullest extent that we can, especially moving forward.
What we'll see is that what's holding that up now is the audit. Once we get the final number, and were they down here today?
No, they come, I believe it's the 27th through the 29th. It's that week is when they're coming back. So they've been in touch with Jim and I today. So and I plan to ask them when they come. I'm doing some research now, but I plan to ask them to make sure that we can use our outside of our general funds, our activities funds to the full extent we can for the correct purposes.
Well, I'll see if I put a push on, okay? Because, we're not going like we did last year. And by us being with the audit, we're into January. We used to wrap this up in December or November. Somewhere we've gone, I don't know where we started down this path, but it's getting worse and worse. So I'll see if I can push that tomorrow, because you don't have that much left, right?
For the, oh, no, not on our end. We have a few items.
You're all set.
And we have a handful of things that I think, our clerical staff has given me most of what we need.
Okay.
I just have to upload it. This was a little bit of a more pressing item at the moment.
Okay, I'll give everybody a push.
Any questions, further questions for the central office?
Question.
Okay, moving on to district wide. Back to you, Noah.
Yeah, so district wide, so this budget basically covers, all the things that go across all the schools, all the staff. Biggest driver is obviously our health insurance. We've been quoted by our insurance broker at 16% for our budgeted increase. The high end, I believe, was, they quoted us, was estimated at 19%. The low end, I believe, was 13. So being right in the middle, we figured we'd stick with the recommendation of the 16. So that is recognized. One piece too, as people are comparing numbers from December to now, what we presented in December for our new personnel, so all of our full-time personnel that qualify for, will qualify for benefits. In our initial presentation, in December, we gave you the full lump sum of like salary, benefits and everything. In this budget here, those benefits have been separated and put into the correct bucket. So for instance, salary, all the health insurance was budgeted for full family for all of our new full-time positions into the health insurance. So that's, for instance, why that number changed from the 8.5% to the 13.9% that we had, because we moved all of that into there. So all the salaries are now sitting in for in the correct buckets, but the benefits were have been pulled out. A few of our other budget items, we've discussed about the additional bus run. It actually came up in December about pickup times possibly being too early for what the responsibility of the district is. So that kind of ties to that, and I know Dr. Ray, if you want to speak to
Yes,
that.
I'm working with All Star locally, but also at the headquarters of Waterbury. To see with their scheduling software, what the 20th bus would give us in dealing with some of our lengthy bus runs and early pickups. So I'm still working with them on that. And I learned yesterday that 4 years ago, we had 20 buses. And then we cut a bus like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if that recalled, anybody recall that? So we're trying to get that, those routes to see what that was like back then. And compare it to now. I know our enrollment number has changed, but we'd like to compare that so we can make sure that we're making the right decision on it. So we've had to elevate it to Waterbury with the software, what they're trying to do, and find our route from 4 years ago.
What's the timetable that we're concerned about? Because I think it's early is subjective. So how early is our earliest bus?
Right now, it's early, like I believe the first bus leaves the yard like 5:25, I believe.
My daughter gets picked up at 5:35 a.m.
Yeah, so that's what we're dealing with. So-
And the policy for the Board of Ed is nothing before 5:45, is that correct?
Right.
And that was adopted last year, I believe.
Right, so what we're trying to do is put a 20th bus run in, because remember, some of they hit shuttles in the afternoon coming back, so it's very complex. So, they have to run these miles, and the holiday break didn't help, in between, so, we'll definitely have that for the next conversation, what it does and doesn't do for us.
Great.
Okay.
And then, it's just kind of note for across the whole district, obviously salaries increases, remain our highest increase across the entire district. A couple pieces that are in the budget book. Obviously, so degrees and unsettled contracts, obviously, we still have one negotiation outstanding. I put in an estimated amount for an increase in that for that negotiating, unit. But it's in the salary lines for those personnel are in. So that's why, so there's a small amount there for degree changes that's still there. I discussed about the medical. Propane was a correction, electricity, so, it was already discussed, some of the HVAC projects, like the one that occurred here at, Great Oak. Quaker Farms, we are in the process of doing a conversion there. So the reason for such a high increase in electricity and the corresponding decrease in the oil line is ahead of the hope is, the plan is that for next school year, or at least by next heating season, it will be operational. So we're accounting for that and change in our budget now. So that we have the dollars correctly allocated for next year. And then the increase in transportation is largely contractual and adding the additional bus runners facility. So any questions on the district-wide numbers? So that is the end of our presentations for the evening. Before we take any feedback or questions, I just want to thank our administrative team, all the people that are here today. That this being my first year, Garrett and Ralph's as well. They really helped us out a lot. This was really a team effort. And also I want to recognize our clerical staff in the central office. A lot of the district-wide numbers and like our PPS clerical staff, they worked with us. They gave us the information, helped me find the right info, pull reports, to make sure that we have a good picture at the start of this process, so that we can have a good clear path forward.
So Ralph, I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we got to do the end. We have to do the capital budget request, but we have to get that.
I just have one quick question. Is the column on the, let's just say page, it doesn't matter what page, at the back of the book, the columns that say like fiscal year 25 actual, fiscal year 26 adopted, et cetera. So fiscal year 25 actual spend, that's finalized,
It's the unaudited number.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because that 33.1 million as your actual spend. So at the top of any page,
Yeah.
right?
That's.
The reason I'm only asking this is because your budget that year was 35.2 million. And you're saying that the actual spend is 33.1 million, which is basically, 2.1 million difference.
That's a carryover issue for the math, just a little. So the actuals for 24-25 for the total, so I apologize if it didn't update in there after I updated.
That's fine. I mean, so as long as it's not really 33.1.
Yeah, the year, so what we have for the actuals was 35 million, 173,420. Yeah, that's unaudited, so that number may change.
So at 35,173, that's if it were correct, that's $1 million under budget. If your budget was 36, no, my mistake. I was looking at this year's budget. That's right on budget. Yeah.
Right, which keep in mind, we've already made our budget adjustments to it, so that's why it's kind of. So we do have one more item then, that Dr. Moreno pointed out, which one? You want to go to the capital capital budget? So at the very back of the book is the last page, for our capital budget.
We know this is time sensitive.
No, when's this? We have to approve this by,
This needs to go to the town by January 15th. This one.
is it normally January
Well, you
15th?
got, that's what's confusing. January 15th, you got, budget to the Board of Finance, that goes to the Board of Selectmen. They incorporate that with the town's overall budget, and it's basically a wish list.
Right,
Right, the capital work. Yeah, the
the
capital.
capital work.
Capital,
Gotcha, good, okay, that's what we're
the
planning.
capital, that's whatever, all the capital you want, it's, you know, it's legitimate, but obviously it can't all get approved. It don't get, and it doesn't get approved that night, just says, thank you very much. That's a mistake there, that's not the Board of Finance report, so.
Okay, so you'll see the last page in the binder, the capital budget request, I'll let Mike kind of go through it.
Yeah.
Sure. So, obviously, the first item that we listed as critical is the fire panel. That's at Quaker Farms, which we earlier discussed, would be about $120,000 probably to replace it. Because we would have to replace all of the devices as well as the fire panel. And it's a labor intensive job, so it's really a lot of labor is what it is. The second thing is converting one of our storage rooms down in this school into a classroom for a new section of the second grade. We off of the gym, there is a storage area that we would be converting into a classroom. And so we estimate that we've received bids and we estimate that to be around $30,000. Quaker Farms generator will light the emergency panels and keep the heat on, but it doesn't light up the rest of the building. So that generator I would like to upgrade, so in case that we ever have a power shortage there. Also, with the new HVAC system going in, we're gonna be all electric heat there. And it is a sprinkler building. So if the power were to go out and the generator wasn't robust enough to run it, we could have some sprinkler system failure there from frozen pipes.
Well, this generator's 275.
I believe so, yeah.
The other generator new for here, it's 500.
Yes, I'll explain that.
Does this mean that you got a cheaper generator for, I don't understand.
No,
Why wouldn't they both be 500?
because this building has a bifurcated power system.
Okay.
We have the rate coming in at, I think it's, I always get the numbers maxed up. I think it's like 480 and 270. So because of that, we essentially need two generators here.
I forgot that.
So that's why it's 500,000. And just so you understand, this building doesn't have a generator. So if the power goes out here, it's out. And as the IT director will remind me, the internet that we have, our network, comes from the high school to this building and
Comes here.
I'm sorry, it comes here.
So when the power is out here, we have battery backup and then the internet's gone.
And the battery backup lasts for
30 minutes.
30
Yeah,
minutes.
40 minutes and then probably.
So of all the schools that doesn't have a generator, this is the one. So that's why we think that's important. And the oil pump set replacement, that goes back to the fuel delivery system at the high school. To get really down into the weeds, we have an underground fuel tank at the school system, at the high school, that is a fiberglass tank. The lines from the tank to the inside the boiler room are steel. Water got into the tank is rusting out the steel pipes from the inside out, so there's scale. That goes into a pump, a fuel pump that then delivers the fuel to the boiler. So that whole entire line set needs to be replaced.
Can't be outdoors like Quaker Farms, that tank is out.
It can be, yes, it can be, but that's a whole different, now you're abandoning a 10,000 gallon tank in place and replacing it with another one. So the other items here, at this school, if you see outside the gym, the facade has some failure points, and that was from the roof leaking into the, behind the facade and the contraction of ice and melting it. The facade failed.
Here, the gym floor needs to be refinished and the repairs of the damaged area, that's what I spoke about earlier. At Quaker Farms, the first grade playground is not compliant with any kind of standards at all. So this is a big issue, for me at least. We have a bid from Integrated Playground Systems, which is the vendor that we have used on all of our playgrounds, and they inspect our playgrounds. Have worked with us, and we've designed replacing what's not compliant with playscapes that are compliant, obviously. And it's around $117,000. The track repairs behind this school, somewhere in the history of it, I wasn't here, I'm not aware of exactly what happened, but somewhere in the history of it, there have been, it looks like drainage that was cut through the asphalt track and then patched. And where they patched it has receded, so now the track is really not a track. We have a quote to repair that would be about $20,000. At the high school, the irrigation system in the baseball fields and softball fields, the pressure is, the water pressure is not great enough to really effectuate what it's trying to do. We also need to sort of redesign it and orient some of the spray heads and the directions, wouldn't you say? Okay, so that, we're estimating that to be around $30,000. Again, at the high school, in the past, and again, I don't know exactly when this was done, the students were allowed to paint their parking.
2020, those things have been there for 5 years.
2020, I didn't know,
My
okay.
daughter painted one of those.
Okay, so, so this, amount of money would, allow us to seal coat over all of that and restripe the parking lots so that they looked more presentable than they are now.
Will that be different than what we've done the last 2 times?
Where we painted up and all came off.
And we've still coated it twice besides that, so. Is the plan to do something different than what we've obviously done that hasn't worked?
I wasn't aware of that, so I'll look into it more then, as it needs to be.
Cause we were actually told that, the paint would be able to be washed off. And that was the only reason why the board ever approved it,
Okay,
so.
obviously that wasn't the
Yeah.
case. Yeah. So what I was looking into, and I've had people come out and analyze what's there. Was a seal and that would seal over that existing paint and then stripe over it.
I think something similar was
I'll look into it,
previously
but
done,
thank you, I didn't know that.
yeah.
How long ago was that?
4 years, 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
They did
I
it
think
shortly afterwards and it literally lasted like maybe 6 months and then.
It actually lasted till they snowplowed.
Is that,
And then once
but
they
that just all
snowplowed,
disappeared. But the paint was all still there.
Oh, it's still there.
It was good paint.
Let me,
And every paint we were told would be very easy to get rid of.
let me look into that, I wasn't aware of that, thank you. Parking lot replacement at Quaker Farms. Obviously, everyone knows that the entrance and some of the pickup line is degraded. So again, we have quotes, they're old quotes, but we can get them refreshed for that. Swimming pool starting blocks. The swimming pool at the high school has, come a long way. It needed a lot of work, but it's come a long way. The swimming blocks are probably at the end of their life. They're loose in their receptacles. So when the children get onto the blocks, there's a little bit of wiggling and it's disconcerting and it's not what you need. So the athletic director and I have talked about that. Auditorium floor repainting and finishing at the high school, it's just a cycle painting. It's just what needs to be done. Elevator modernization here in this school. We have one elevator, a single car elevator for ADA compliance. It's original, obviously, to the school. The switches, everything about it is beyond analog. It's actually. I don't know if there's, yeah, there might be a mule somewhere with a pulley system, I'm not sure.
Oh,
Yeah, it's time. It's time. And It's time. I've been, in my previous career, experience, I've been through a few elevator modernizations. They're not cheap and they are time consuming. So, you're dealing with, whether it's Schindler or Otis or whomever, you're dealing with their union and it's time consuming. And very, very expensive. The Westfield drainage at the high school has been an issue that was identified. Brian Stiriak was hired and went out, I believe, went out and evaluated what the situation was. He came up with a solution and or came up with a report, and his solution was that it needed to be replaced, essentially. So that is the expense that we estimate for the Westfield drainage. At the high school, we've had habitual rooftop AC units that have failed or need extensive repairs. This is part of just the end of life. They're all 17, most of them are all 17 years old. They're all very large. Your residential units may be 5 tons or 4 tons. These are 83 and 100 tons. And so they're, these are systems where you need to get rigging and have it craned up onto the roof and such like that. So that's the price for that. And then the high school has a gator with a plow, which is a John Deere sort of 4x4 with a plow. It's 17 years old and it's probably time to replace it. And that was the estimate that we received from Bethel Power, which is where we bring it for service. Any questions on any of those items?
Well,
Thank you.
now would you say the order are in the order of priority, top
Yeah.
to bottom?
Yes.
Sometimes that's asked. So.
No, absolutely. That's why you had talked about the risk on the fire panel. It's my number one issue right now. Just I'm scared of what would happen. I'm just scared of how long it would take for us to replace that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, back to the important thing for this evening. Next steps, Karen and I will have a conversation with the board officers on Thursday, the agenda setting, for next steps on how to map it out. In regards to keep working on our budget, and we'll definitely keep the board's finance in the loop. What we're doing, we'll get it to you by hopefully earlier than whatever the March date is.
Well, yeah, March 4th,
March-
remember, after March 4th, then we get the budget, we'll probably be 3-4 times anyway.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
So this is just like the referendum all the way down, but it's in between there, we'll meet quite a bit. There was a lot of questions.
Absolutely.
Capital budget. You ever dig down any place and find a diamond mine? Did you ever get that one?
I imagine we wait till we see the 10-year plan. I think it's gonna be quite staggering.
Yeah.
My gut tells me. So, but again, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Right. Been at 9, yeah.
You guys So, definitely explain that better. The